George?
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're looking at times Bridgerton handled real-life issues with care and empathy.
We live on a constant threat of danger, Bridgerton. I risk my life every day. For love.
Number 10, debt and gambling. A major subplot throughout the first season of the show was Lord Featherington's gambling addiction. We see him gambling and losing time and time again in the Gentlemen's Club, also frequented by Anthony and Simon, and at Will's boxing match.
What is this? More importantly, how did you get it?
I had an inside tip.
At the end of the season, he convinces Will to throw a fight in exchange for half of his winnings betting on it. This works, but not before the bookmakers find out what Lord Featherington has done.
Featherington. Join us.
He ends up getting murdered, with criminals taking the winnings from him, leaving the family in dire financial straits once more. Gambling addiction is a very real and very devastating issue that can ruin people's lives, and the characters are still dealing with its fallout.
We hear your husband secured himself a win the other day. Where is he? Still out celebrating?
One circumstance that has most likely not changed, I imagine.
Number 9, con artists. In a similar vein to the previous Lord Featherington's gambling problem, the new Lord, Jack, manages to fool everybody in the ton.
The only empty thing I have are those mines, Portia. They're an utter failure. I have nothing.
He arrives at bringing wealth and charm, though through a series of ill-conceived plots. Portia Featherington learns that cousin Jack actually has no money at all.
You paid Philippa's dowry.
I held off the Finches with a promise of payment and a counterfeit ruby necklace.
Together they hatch a scheme to bleed the gentlemen of the high society dry, convincing them to invest in Jack's phony ruby mines. Though it's all larger than life with counterfeit necklaces and deals with the devil, people do regularly fall for scams like this, and often have a hard time coming to terms with it.
That this necklace is a fraud, made of glass, just like you.
In real life, there isn't usually a Colin Bridgerton waiting to swoop in and save the day, much as we wish otherwise.
But I expect you to return all of the funds you have collected and leave town at once.
Number 8, feminism. As Eloise never fails to remind us, the Regency era was a difficult time to be a woman, especially compared with today.
Is it not thrilling?
You?
Me?
It wasn't until 1882 that married women in England were allowed to own their own property, as previously, all their possessions became their husbands upon marriage.
The exchange of ideas with like-minded men and women on subjects beyond the trivial concerns of polite society.
Eloise is always concerned with the plight of women and is seen discussing proto-feminist texts like Mary Wollstonecraft's A Vindication of the Rights of Woman.
My own sex, I hope, will excuse me if I treat them like rational creatures instead of flattering their fascinating graces. Wollstonecraft.
In season 2, she has her eyes open to the struggles of women of lower rank and is constantly trying to better herself. Today, men and women still aren't equal in many parts of the world.
You're a long way from Mayfair for writings that are merely serviceable.
Luckily for me, there is a thrilling invention called a carriage that may convey a lady from one place to another.
Number 7, grief. Anthony's carrying a lot of trauma, and we learn about this in great detail in season 2, when we finally find out why he is the way he is.
You make it sound so easy. Nothing ever rattles you, does it?
Oh, I believe your mother would have quite a few things to say about that.
While still young, he witnessed his father, Edmund, die of anaphylaxis following a bee sting.
What happened?
I don't know. Is it a bee? A bee, I think.
He eventually confesses to Violet that the reason he isn't seeking a love match is that he's frightened of the grief the death of a beloved spouse causes. At the end of the season, he talks to Gregory about their father and admits that they don't talk about him as much as they should.
I'm so sorry that it was you who was with your father that day, and I am sorry for everything that happened in the days that followed.
With Kate's help, he begins to deal with the grief he's been repressing for years, while trying to be the head of the family. Number 6, class.
You think just because Madame Delacroix has a paid occupation, or because she does not reside within the bounds of Grosvenor Square, she's different, is that it?
Multiple subplots look at how the world of the Ton compares to the lives of middle and working class people in London.
I am looking out for myself. I am ensuring my own future.
We see this in season 1 through Anthony's doomed relationship with opera singer Sienna, as well as Benedict's brief dalliance with Madame Delacroix, as they try to put their class differences aside in the name of love, and both ultimately fail. In season 2, Eloise meets Theo, who opens her eyes to how, in a lot of ways, she's very privileged to be a lady in the upper class, and has protections that lower class women don't.
It's all right, Miss Bridgerton. You dipped your toe into my waters trying to make yourself feel better about the unearned advantages of your birth.
It's always interesting to see a Regency period drama like this engage with the class divide, rather than ignoring it completely. Number 5, substance use. In season 2, Colin returns from his travels in Greece with a tan, a goatee, and some unusual substances.
Worldly travelers use it as a way to open their minds and transcend ordinary anxieties.
He then makes Benedict, who's worrying about his art school application, a cup of very unique tea with this purple powder.
It smells rather foul, does it not?
Benedict takes nearly all of it, against Colin's advice, and has a very fun time at dinner that evening.
Oh! Benedict, dear, you alarm our guest.
The show doesn't name it, but it's believed to be opium powder, something that wasn't regulated at this point in time. Of course, while this is one of the funniest scenes in the show, it's still an important issue to talk about.
You shall all bear witness to my talents!
It's the middle of the night.
Number 4, homophobia.
Bridgerton, the other night. What happened the other night? I do not believe anything happened at all.
Though people of colour make up the show's main cast, the same can't be said for LGBTQIA+ characters, which has dismayed some fans. But society's archaic attitudes to queerness were explored back in season 1, when Benedict catches his art instructor in the arms of a man.
I would simply like to understand your situation.
He then explains to Benedict the prejudice he faces, and Benedict empathises, which isn't surprising given the libertine circles he runs in.
I'm in love with Lord Weatherby. You're married?
There are a lot of fans who want Benedict to be bi, although, like all the other Bridgertons, he's straight in the books. Only time will tell if we get more LGBTQIA+ representation in future seasons.
Stealing your glances, disguising your touches. We cannot so much as smile at each other without first ensuring no one else is watching.
Number 3, race. Many initially thought, ahead of the full release of season 1, that Bridgerton was employing colourblind casting, but actually it does deal with race head-on, as explained during a conversation between Simon and Lady Danbury.
But have you any idea those very things are precisely what have allowed a new day to begin to dawn in this society?
Lady Danbury explains to Simon, and subsequently to the audience, how Queen Charlotte's rise to the throne has changed things for people of colour in the world of Bridgerton.
Look at our queen. Look at our king. Look at their marriage. Look at everything it is doing for us.
This has remained a sticking point with a small number of people in the real world, showing just how much further we still need to go. But Bridgerton gets more diverse each season, introducing the Sharmas in season 2 and East Asian characters in season 3.
We were two separate societies, divided by colour, until a king fell in love with one of us.
Number 2, pregnancy.
You haven't bled. It's been over a month since your arrival, and you haven't bled.
Marina Thompson's pregnancy is a major plot point in season 1, as she tries to find an eligible husband as quickly as possible to protect her from the scandal.
Do you even know who the father is?
What I know is that you shall never understand.
What was that?
You shall never understand!
This frequently throws her into conflict with Penelope, as Marina tries to persuade Colin to marry her, despite the fact that she doesn't really love him. In one of the show's darkest moments, Marina also tries and fails to end the pregnancy with a drink that could have killed her too.
You are with child? I do not understand. We were to be wed.
Earlier in season 1, Eloise confides in Daphne that one reason she doesn't want to marry is that she witnessed Hyacinth's difficult birth, and she's afraid of the risks that pregnancy carries.
You're not frightened too, sister? Of marriage? Of children?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Mental illness. At the beginning of Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story, King George tries to keep his wife at arm's length to spare her from his fragile mental state.
I see you! Venus, my angel! I see you!
This is all based on history, as George III was well known to have suffered from some form of illness. Whether it had a physical or psychiatric cause still isn't known, but he was very unwell for large portions of his life.
Ah! I knew you would come! I knew it!
We see Charlotte learn about this and witness his erratic behaviour, as he writes on the walls and runs into the garden late at night to observe Venus.
It is Venus. Say hello.
No, I am Venus. Right here, I am Venus.
You are Venus.
Yes.
Charlotte goes on to advocate for the king when he can't do it himself, dismissing his cruel doctors and doing her best to take care of him. Let us know in the comments what issues you want to see in Bridgerton's future episodes.
I should have known. That you could not be any different from all other ladies.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.